I saw this tweet going around. It reads, South Daytona Republican headquarters shot up overnight. Volunteers arrived Monday to find windows shot out and bullet holes inside office. Yes, political violence affects everyone of all sides. And people like to point the finger at each other and claim that, one side's rhetoric is more responsible than someone else's. But look, everyone is responsible to a certain degree. The snowflake doesn't blame itself for the avalanche. When we talk about issues like what happened in Pittsburgh, you'll often hear people blame Trump. And when we hear about how right-wing extremism is way more prevalent than left-wing extremism, I have to wonder, when they call the Pittsburgh guy who hated Trump a right-wing extremist, is that fair? Or are they just lumping people in with the right to blame them? Honestly, I think we can, the way people are blaming Trump for this, even though Trump has disavowed white nationalists, even though Trump has disavowed violence over and over again, it makes me call into question a lot of these statistics. Look, Donald Trump's no saint. He's not innocent. He has called for some physical altercation to an extent, saying, get him out of here, we used to hit him. Like, I don't know the exact quotes, but he did tell someone he'd defend them in court if they, threw somebody out, something like that. And recently he made a joke about body slamming people. I'm not here to paint the right as the innocent little darlings who are being attacked by the vicious left. No, political violence can go both ways. But what needs to be pointed out is that when it comes to run-of-the-mill conservatives and run-of-the-mill Democrats, there's not a whole lot of violence, okay? Unfortunately, among the Democrats, they're actually ignoring, in some instances, defending people who are attacking Trump supporters. How often do we see people with Trump hats going and physically beating Democrats? Not that often. There's been some stories, for sure. Absolutely. It's not like it's zero. However, how many times do we hear about some regular old people on the left attacking Trump supporters? All the time. And here we have a story, okay? They shot up this Republican headquarters. Recently, a GOP headquarters was burned down. These are targeting regular political actors, okay? These are regular citizenry. How often do we have issues of extreme violence associated with the right that results in, deaths? Relatively rare, right? There's more than the left for sure. However, how often do we have the left committing low-level attacks against the right? Substantially, way more often. And here's, I'm going to show you something really, really funny. And you're going to be like, oh, that is funny, Tim. And I'm just trying to build up the suspense for it. First, I have this article from the Daytona Beach News Journal, Republican headquarters vandalized by gunfire in Volusia. And I pulled this up because I want to read through this, but I hope the suspense has been enough for you now so you can laugh. Whenever there's a story, I try to make sure if there's, I'm being fair and balanced. So when the Republican Party headquarters was vandalized, and you can see here, Republican Party headquarters vandalized, I did a Google search. Democratic office vandalized. And guess what pops up? When you Google search Democratic office vandalized, the first story is Republican Party headquarters vandalized. There's no story about Democrat headquarters being vandalized. When I search for the Democrats, Republican is what comes up. I am not playing games. I am not lying to you. I really don't care who wins or loses in the grand scheme of things when it comes to the midterm elections. I'm not here to endorse candidates. I'm not critical of the Democrats because I hate the Democrats. By no means. I'm critical of the far left and some of their insane policies because they're gaining weight within the Democrats. The Republicans, while to a certain extent there are some, white nationalist elements that have poked their head into the GOP party, some candidates openly endorsing, or I shouldn't say openly endorsing, it's a contentious issue, but there are some low-level politicians on the Republican side who have known ties to white nationalists and neo-Nazi groups. It's true, okay? Let's not act like everyone's innocent here. The issue is, mainstream Republicans, Donald Trump, the president, has said dozens of times he disavows white supremacy and white nationalism. And I say, okay, look, if the bulk of the Republican Party is going to say, we're not okay with this, it's not okay, I'll say, all right, fine. But when the left doesn't, when they embrace identitarianism, then I take issue with it. But the point is, I wanted to see if there was a counterpart. If I told you a story about a Republican HQ being vandalized, are there stories of the Democratic offices being vandalized too? Is there balance here? There isn't. When you search for Democratic office vandalized, the first story that comes up is about the Republican Party. The second story, and waves of stories, are about GOP Manhattan being vandalized. There aren't any stories about Democratic offices being vandalized. In this instance, they shot up this building. This is more than just someone throwing a brick through a window. It's mind-numbing to me that I get into these debates on Twitter, and someone recently said Fox News is fake news, and the Republicans are crazy, and the violence isn't equal. And I have a video the other day about how the left couldn't understand the Spider-Man meme I did, because they're like, Tim, how could you equate peaceful protesters at restaurants with Nazis? And I'm like, I never even mentioned peaceful protesters. You know what my opinion is on the people showing up to restaurants and chanting? Yeah, go by all means protest. The private business owner should throw you out if you're causing a problem. The people, the public figures who are eating are being disturbed. Do I think it's the right thing to do? No, of course not. Do they have a right to do it? Absolutely. They're just protesting. But I also think something should be said with civility. Things are getting out of hand. I wouldn't personally, I don't think it's effective to go in a restaurant and start chanting and force someone to leave, because it just makes you look like a mob, hence the rhetoric. But I have no problem with people standing outside protesting, for sure. I have no problem with protest. It's your right to do so. I actually think it's pretty damn awesome that we live in a country where you can walk up to Ted Cruz and tell him to go screw himself. You gotta admit, that's pretty badass, because that's part of what makes America great, is that even if you're a politician, even if you're this wealthy millionaire senator, any American, no matter the status, can give you the middle finger. But that doesn't excuse the violence that we see. And just because you have a right to protest doesn't mean you have a right to shoot up a Republican headquarters. And I think the average person on the left understands this. The problem is, whenever there's violence, I don't see the left calling out these issues. You know, and I'll say it too. Has the left called out people like Louis Farrakhan? They did. They did a lot. And the media was questioning Twitter. It's not like, you know, these media outlets, these journalists weren't taking issue with it. They were. A lot of people on the right probably don't see it because you follow specific accounts, and a lot of people on the left don't see when the right calls out the violence because they only follow specific accounts. I follow both sides. And here's my determination. Typically, when there is street-level violence, the right will condemn it. Absolutely. The left will not. The left will call out the right, but they don't call it themselves. In fact, they defend it. When I was in Boston during this protest, Antifa was standing there with clubs and pipes and crowbars. And I asked the DSA guy, why are you going to stand beside these people dressed, black-clad individuals with weapons? You look across the way, they have shields. I pointed this out. In Boston, the right side, the conservatives, shields. Left side, bats, crowbars, pipes, etc. And I said, do you see what message you're sending? One side is just holding shields to protect themselves, and you guys have weapons. Will you call this out? They said, no, we won't. No, we won't. Admittedly, though, I shouldn't even say admittedly, some Proud Boy walked up to the left side and punched some woman in the face. So, I mean, it's not like, look, it's not like there isn't violence on the right, for sure. And then they actually arrested this Proud Boy. People asked me what happened, and I'm like, dude, Proud Boy walked up to that woman, just punched her in the face for no reason. And and the conservative guys were like, yeah, man, get him out of here. Like, we don't want that. They were willing to call it out. So this guy, this Volusia Republican Party chairman, apparently he blamed the Democrats. I don't want to play through the video, but we'll just read some of the story. The windows of Volusia County's Republican Party headquarters were found shot out Monday morning after 4 bullet holes were discovered inside the office. Police were investigating shattered glass and fallen campaign posters that littered the sidewalk outside the strip mall. Inside, volunteers pointed to bullet holes in the walls and ceiling. We have never had any kind of vandalism before at Republican HQ. Tony Ledbetter, the chairman of Volusia County's Republican Party, said in an email Monday morning. It's a small strip center, and no other business was vandalized, so it was obviously politically motivated. Ledbetter said he was the last to leave the GOP headquarters at 4 p.m. Sunday, and workers in the adjacent businesses, including an e-cigarette store and restaurant and a massage business, had closed by 10 p.m. No one heard shots fired, and there were no injuries. He said, at this point, we can confirm, the police captain said, at this point, we can confirm that at least 4 rounds were fired into the building. We are working to see if we can get video from nearby businesses, but so far we have no witnesses. This is a big challenge, right? Antifa goes around knocking people over the head, and the people on the left are like, what's the big deal? Who cares about a bike lock? It's like, dude, regular people care about this. We care about the bullets. We care about the synagogue. We care about Charlottesville. We care about all of it. It's annoying when people tweet. It's like fake. It's almost like it's just not real people, almost. They're like, Tim won't condemn Charlottesville, but he'll condemn Antifa. It's like, what are we talking about? Dude, I made 3 videos about Charlottesville following what happened. It's like, these people don't watch my videos. They'll look at a title, and then they'll leave. Or they'll only share my criticisms of Antifa, get really angry, and then be like, why aren't you calling out right-wing violence? And it's like, dude, I did. You're just not watching it, okay? Everyone knows what happened in Charlottesville was wrong. I assure you, and everybody on the right who's watching knows this to be true. You walk up to a Trump supporter and say, what do you think about the violence in Charlottesville? And they're going to shake their head and say, it was wrong. No one's going to defend it. We're going to call that out. We're going to call this out. It's like, where are the sane, rational people, okay? Admittedly, my friends on the left, they denounce violence. It's not absolute. A lot of people on the left think the right won't denounce violence. A lot of people on the right think the left won't. But the truth is, the people in the middle, the regular people, they will all denounce it. The problem is, the right has no problem denouncing the fringe elements of the right. The left seems to want to avoid denouncing the fringe elements of the left, even go on, Twitter tirades about punching Nazis and defending Antifa. Great. While Antifa isn't going around executing people, we do have issues of people shooting up Republican headquarters, burning them down, punching GOP candidates in the head, chasing GOP women. A female candidate was chased and punched in the arm by a guy, like a dude was chasing her, okay? Why isn't the left saying all of this is wrong? Because it seems like when it comes to physical violence, they're not opposed to it. Elements of the extreme fringe left are infiltrating and taking power in the normal political left, and they're letting it. The political compass is skewing towards libertarian right. I'm talking about ground level, grassroots. Your average Trump supporter guy is going to be a Trump supporter person is probably going to be like center-right libertarian, not all the way down, but both not in the authoritarian spectrum, but the left is up in the authoritarian spectrum, and they're okay with it. Look, man, this is wrong. We need to call out all violence. We need to call out all terrorism, all intimidation. When it comes to extreme elements like this guy mailing these packages, call him out, of course. Trump called him out, plain and simple. Right away, it was wrong. Bravo. But does that mean the left gets a pass on this? Shooting up a GOP headquarters? No way. No way. Do we know it was the left who did this? Well, of course we don't. But I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not going to assume that the mail package guy was a false flag. This is probably not a false flag. Look at this old man. This guy's not going to make a false flag. Somebody shot up this Republican headquarters. Somebody who probably didn't like Republicans, who's probably associated with the left. And I'd love to see people on the left calling this out. But I'm not going to hold my breath until it happens because I just died. Anyway, stick around. I've got more videos coming up in just a few minutes. The next video is about the death of Facebook. Yes, Facebook may be over. Government regulation is on the way. But it's not good news for conservatives. Stick around.